I'm content manager Digital 22, and we've found over the past 6 months or so every client we've onboarded has had their own marketing team who, rather than just having us do blogging, they're trying to supplement what we do with their own content production. So the question we've had a few times is about planning titles and scheduling time to do that and then deliver them. So we're going to go through that as a topic really. So how to plan blog titles, or what I wanted to call the talk was how to plan blog titles that meet both SEO needs and are enticing enough for a persona to click on when viewed on the SERP, and also meet optimization targets in terms of character limits, whilst also being super entertaining in 5 killer steps. But apparently that would have broken the landing page design, so I had to shorten it. But basically that's what we're about. We're going to break down 5 aspects that we think about when planning blog titles at Digital 22, but we're going to start with on a more general conceptual level of how we do it. So planning titles, what we do is work in 90-day rolling campaigns. So whether that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blogs a week, we plan 90 days worth of time worth of blogs at once. But before we get to blog titles, we give each 90-day campaign a focus and 1 or 2 download pieces that 90% of those blogs will point to and be related to. And then we get to the idea generation of what would be a good thing to lead to that download piece. Then we go to keyword research to give it some tangible data to write about, to check that our gut instinct's right based on persona knowledge. And then we turn that into titles and briefs. And then each week, obviously we can't write 90 days worth of blogs in one go. Over that 90-day period, we write week by week. So we've been speaking to the clients we've been onboarding lately, and we've had a mix of some people have literally coming in the morning and thinking, what shall I write today? And some have a week up their sleeve, but a good bit of advice is to always have a bank of 3 months worth of titles. So title creation, once you've got past that step, kind of juggles 5 things. So in that bit of a mad title, we've got the 5 things we're going to look at today. They are how to plan blog titles, represents showing knowledge in the title or giving knowledge, especially for inbound search terms, which we'll come to in a second. That gives you a good hit on keywords. Meeting SEO needs, basically tying the title to the content and keeping up with SEO trends and SEO tactics. Topic clusters, for example, which we'll come to. Enticing enough for the persona means thinking about the language in the title, keeping it contextual for your persona. Depending on your niche, what we find speak their language directly, but we'll come into context within that. Optimization, basically technical SEO features. Google's obviously changing the SERP a lot, settled down past few months, but whenever you're planning a title, all you can do is plan for what Google's asking you to do at the moment. And then in 5 killer steps means emotive language, so back to semantics and using interesting language for your persona. So step 1. Showing knowledge. Started with some resources that I think people will have heard of, at least some of them, if not all of them, but CoSchedule's approach for planning blog titles is a 3-step process. So break up your post, think of what's going to be in the content, think of how many headings you'll have, and include that in the title. So, for example, 30 tips to do something. Also back that up with step 2, giving it a value and a number and quantifying what that benefit is. So 30 tips to help you save 30 minutes in blog planning every month. But then also adding some authority, so your data sources within it. So I'm quoting CoSchedule to give myself some authority. They're a bit more established than I am in the content world. But 30 tips to help save 30 minutes every week with tips from 50 marketers. For example, that kind of title, you've got 3 steps of knowledge in there, present in the title. Word stream. Andrew, our head of inbound, big fan of Larry Kim, so I've included a big picture of him for Andrew. Wordstream have broken down 74 titles, most popular titles that bring in lots of traffic. the vast majority of, I've had to cut it off, but the vast majority of the top 30 all start with how to do something, how to get something, how to plan something, which is quite inbound related. It's topics, people are in research mode, but you're giving them the word, you're using the wording that they're searching. The knowledge is front and centre, how to do something right from the off. So we looked at another article we came across on the podcast a couple of weeks ago was a breakdown of popular Facebook content, paid video ads in particular. But what's interesting is the language in the most popular posts is actually knowledge related again. So it's things like, if you can't quite see on the slide, things to know, 5 ways to, what you need to know about. Those are the most popular titles. So even in unsolicited content, like being pushed into your stream, the ones that get the most clicks are actually still knowledgeable, even in entertainment content. So people want knowledge. So we cross-referenced that against our own blog, and yet the most popular blogs were how much, how do, is my website, questions that people are wanting to get knowledge from. But we know that anyway, because those are inbound long-tail keywords. So using questions in your title, long-tail keywords often are that, how do I do X, or how can I improve Y? When it comes to turning that into a title, so that's a search topic, and you think your persona's wanting to know those things, using stats, like Course Schedule said, put it into the title, using authority by including stats, and showing the benefits is another big one. So step 2 of the Course Schedule example was to save 30 minutes. That's the benefit from reading this blog post, save yourself 30 minutes every month. But the title needs to match the content as well. So when I'm planning the titles for our clients, I'm always thinking about what the content will be within it, and that's for an SEO reason. So past 9-12 months or so, putting the user first and everything else will follow has been Google's message for any content that we produce. The algorithms, the machine learning, the semantics and the AI that they've got in terms of ranking what should be shown for each search query is learning with every single search query. What you'll have noticed as well, hopefully, is if you put a search term in, it's actually bringing in synonyms for those search terms. So your keyword of how to save 30 minutes on blog writing, how to save 30 minutes when writing a blog, it might bring in a blog which keyword is how to save 30 minutes when planning a blog or when producing content, or this whole field of other related topics. So when you've got a title, you need to think all about context, which will bring us into the next step. So those keywords change from search to search result, but we still use keywords because they give you a touch point, they give you a grounding point on data that people are putting in. And you'll also get an exact hit on the long tail keyword that you do target. So we do still use them, but we use it in a way where we come up with the idea. Then we verify the ideas of actually getting some sort of search volume by looking at Google AdWords, Keyword Planner, Moz, and your own website to see what people are viewing the most. And then we put that into context for what we're trying to achieve with the campaign plan. The context that I just mentioned is the third thing you're thinking about, is about enticing the persona in. So think about the time and purpose of the research that's being done when you're thinking of the blog title and the blog content. We need that title to match the context the person is reading it in. So we might have one download which is about how to plan blog titles or how to plan a content schedule, but a blog that we're doing might be read on the tube or on the train to work, and they have 30 minutes to kill and they want a real deep dive. It might also be read in a meeting with their boss when they've got literally 10 seconds to just put something in a presentation, or it might be somewhere in between where it's a group hour-long meeting brainstorming. You can write 3 blogs for the same persona for the 3 different bits of context, and that one keyword might have 3 different variants that the person might put in the 3 different areas. A good way we use that as well is the research then done has been, when producing the blog, is being repurposed 3 times into 3 blogs, so that's a good time saver as well. The other thing to think about with your persona and the context is the mood and emotion. So if anyone is in charge of content or producing it, this is more like the semantics, the language, the way we present that title. So presenting the benefit of saving 30 minutes in the co-schedule example, is that because in the top left the person's stressed and up against it and forgotten to do something? Or is it because they're trying to streamline things in a big board meeting? Or what's the context and the mood of emotion they're researching for? Or is it because they just got so much work to do, they just need to save time for that reason? So that's something we say a lot with Digital 22, knowing your persona. So think about targeting a time and a place of research, because that lets you communicate the title in a particular way. So right from the title, you're in the right context. Doesn't mean all the blog titles in that plan that we make are for that context. Like I say, try and attack the different scenarios with your titles. Remember, your title's the chance as well on the SERP for you to communicate that. The content within it might be perfect for when they've got half an hour, but if it's 2 killer tips, 2-minute read, or 10 seconds quick and dirty tips, they're not in the mood for that. They want in a deep dive topic, so give a title that reflects it. The other thing to think about whenever you're coming up with the titles is what we always try and think about is optimization. So a quick check on Google's SERP on Friday when I was doing this, or over the weekend, whenever it was. 65 character blog title limit. Other than that, you'll be truncated with an ellipsis. So if you do go longer, perhaps for very poor comedic effect like my title, make sure the first 65 characters have got the key bit of value in. And then your meta description, unless you end up with a rich snippet, which I think is another topic in itself, how to target those, you've only got 160 characters in the meta description. I think we all know don't keyword stuff because you'll be penalised, but apart from the penalties of doing that, there's also not much benefit to doing that anyway, given the semantic knowledge of Google and the synonym power of the AI, being able to work out, actually, they've said this, but they might also be interested in this version of that query. So there's no need, really, absolutely, to put the keyword in word for word. If it sounds weird because the search term doesn't quite have the right context in the title, we play around with that. You can trust Google to work out what you're actually talking about. And then, just a reminder, title and content should match. Nothing will harm your overall rank more than the title being absolutely brilliant and then the content doesn't match the context. So it's a deep dive, but the title's saying it's a 10-second read to take into a meeting. People will bounce back off because they don't have time to read through all that content. That means next time they think, should we put that blog in front of this query? Google won't. A quick way to check that is CoSchedule's headline analyzer. Has anyone used that? No? If you register on coschedule.com and then head to or Google the headline analyzer, it's a great way to put in your title. It breaks down how many characters it is, what kind of words you're using, how effective it is as a title. So it's a nice, handy little tool. Actually, you can see it. I've got it favorited. That's how much I use it. So then the last thing to think about is enticing the persona again. This time, not from context, but from language. Like I say, it all comes back to the persona. So we want titles that for our personas are actionable, intriguing, and emphatic. So we're targeting a time and place of research because that lets you communicate in a particular way that help them achieve their goal. And remember that this is your chance to show that we get what situation you're in. We're speaking your language because we're like you, we understand. So what I mean by that is, if it's actionable, how to do something, what is the answer to this? If it's intriguing, that can also do the job. So titles like 5 ways your something is harming your something or other. And making it emphatic and impressive. We found the titles that have 50 rather than 5 bits of insight always tend to climb higher up the rankings. And that doesn't mean 50 times more the work. It's like it not a big list of 50 is more impressive than even if it just intrigues you to get you onto the page. Then there's a time and a place for doing 5 deep dive ways, but if you're wanting traffic and getting people onto it and leading people onto your site, a big list post like that is a good way to do it. you can take people off onto deeper dives on the niche topics from that blog. So 50 ways your ex is doing Y and how to fix it is just tying that together at the bottom there. So that was 5 steps, quite a quick run through, which can actually be condensed into 3 really. If you think, give your campaign a focus, target keyword topics with your blog titles, and plan a campaigns with the titles that balance those 5 areas. So some might be quick reads, some might be deep dives, but make sure if you use the HubSpot strategy tool, you'll see that they've taken away the keyword optimization from the blog feature, because presumably Google isn't wanting us to use keywords specifically. We're talking about topic clusters. So you might have got these 2-minute tips, here's a 30-minute read, save that for later. Or here's 50 tips, here's each of those broken down into more deeper reads. Going the wrong way. And that was all we had on blog titles really, apart from if anyone's got any questions, to go over any of those, or anything to do with bots as well. We've got time to discuss those. And other than that, just a reminder that the next hug really is in October after Inbound got 2 HubSpot speakers. We've got Dan Tyre, who's always good value, and somebody else will be coming with him from a product expert to talk about what's been announced at Inbound. I think we'll also be doing a bit of something from our learnings and anyone else who's going to Inbound. Is anyone off to Boston? A few at the back. So you can check Stephen out, or those who are heading, and yeah, if you look out for the email, you can register on there or head to the website. And now I think we've just got some time for any questions, whether myself, Stephen, or just HubSpot related.
We've got a question from the line. I think it's one for you. And the question is, any thoughts on Drift as a platform?
I actually really like what Drift are done recently. They moved their entire website format away from having a live chat. That's now a bot. So if you go onto Drift's website, the first thing you interact with is a bot, and the bot does all the stuff you'd expect it to, and provides the context and the routings and stuff like that. But I think it's very impressive, to be honest. I'd say they're one of the market leaders at the moment, to be honest.
Cheers. If anyone's got any more questions, that's a wrap, guys. Cheers,
Cheers everyone.